Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Guile treatment. Continuing our post-national series, we have 2/3 of the winning teams. What is it? The darkest timeline.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's like a Tribe Called Quest.
You do have to say the whole thing.
Okay. So I guess it's sort of the latest incarnation of now I'm gonna blank on what you
Lion
guys
Stance.
know. Lion Stance. There we go.
They were the Crocodons one time too.
They were.
We were the Crocodiles.
Yeah, we were.
We were also the Shane in Spain Falls mainly on the plane.
Was that the year I
Chicago
was
forever.
Yeah, we've been a bunch of we haven't used the Lion Stance name since Drew was on the team. Like when it's been me, Phil, and Ben, we've had something different every single time. So, yeah.
I believe the running joke should be we should just add the and timeline as many times as possible until like it doesn't fit on the sheet. It's just the. And people are like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Well, what we're doing is we keep winning tournaments. That's what we're doing.
There you go. There you go. But we have Dave Wagoner, who's been on the show multiple times, and then we have a new guy down in the corner for you viewers watching. It's Phil Birch. Why don't you go ahead and talk about yourself, Phil?
On my screen, I'm up at the top corner.
Oh, well, you're in the bottom screen.
Wherever I am for you guys.
Yes.
Just inconsequential for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm Phil Birch. Kim Smith thinks I'm the GOAT, Tom Brady, so that's pretty cool. Apparently, I keep winning things, so I get to be Tom Brady and everybody hates me, or something to that effect. I'm a 4-time champion, 2 teams, and 2 singles wins.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently before this was Nets 2016. I won with Tiffany Jamber, and now we finally completed the gauntlet of advancing one further step at every tournament and won in the finals. So that's kind of where we are, I guess. Cool. That's who I am as a person.
Okay, cool.
And a card player, I guess.
And a card player.
How long have you been playing? Because you were playing back with I know at least Red Horizon. You were playing like what's her name, Vespera and stuff. Like,
oh, I played this game forever.
Yeah. Okay.
I started with I think I started with set 2 Street Fighter.
Okay.
I didn't play with the original release, and then I played like a fucking Ken 2 drew a million cards for about as long as that character was legal.
That's quite good. Yeah.
Yeah. I quit it for a little bit in like the middle when everything was way too expensive for a 15-year-old kid to afford. When you had to have like 4 copies of Anna Syndicate, 4 copies of Blood Runs True, and you just couldn't play if you weren't rich. And then I started playing again with Tekken, and yeah, it's been fun. Won with King in teams, then I won with Vespera, then sucked for a really long time, and then won again. Now we're at our peak, I guess. We're at our prime.
So
this game's really easy now.
So
it's a much different game than it was when you and I started. Yeah.
So like when you guys you guys have been teaming for a while, what was your main thought going into this nationals tournament? We knew Liu Kang. Well, we knew Quan Chi was going to be like the big dragon, and then Little Dragon was going to be Liu Kang. But what was your thoughts leading into the tournament?
Actually, that's better. Which one of you was going to play Quan Chi before he got banned?
Ben.
That would have been Ben. Yeah. So our
I don't
original
know if we were going
lineup.
to have a Liu Kang.
Yeah, our original lineup was going to be Vega, Quan Chi, and then whatever I decided to play, which was either going to be that Joe deck that I wound up playing or Liu Kang.
Sure.
So when Quan got banned, we basically put Ben on Liu Kang because honestly, the deck has the lowest learning curve of the 3 decks in our team, and he didn't have to like completely reinvent the wheel to play it. It's just like, no, we're just going to send you out there to smash face, and Ben's pretty damn good at doing that.
We're going to let him roll some dice and see if he comes out on top.
Yep, and it worked out pretty well. Yeah. Phil, how long have we been teaming for? We've been teaming for like 2 or 3 years at this point, probably.
We've teamed for 5 events.
Yeah.
3 nationals, 2 worlds.
Yeah, and like we went from. We'll give you guys a little bit of background. The first time we teamed, that was the year I had gotten home from a like 2-month deployment to the Netherlands.
Yeah, you were
the day before nationals. Yeah. And I was jet lagged as hell, and I don't remember the first like 3 rounds of that event at all. It's just a gap in my memory. I don't either. I think I played myself, but and then we so we missed top 8 that year, and then we made we've at least like I think we got ninth one event, and
Yeah,
then
we got
every
like
other event
fucking
we
dead
made
last,
top.
and we got ninth.
Yeah,
And then we got top 8, top 4, and then we won this time.
Yeah, so it took us a little while to get there, but we got there. So yeah, but as far as like our yeah, it was originally going to be Ben on some flavor of Quan Chi. We were going to kind of tune it a little bit in the week before the event. And then I was going to probably wind up playing Liu Kang, honestly, just because like that's two really good decks. And Phil's Vega matched up really well into basically everything.
Yeah, Chris knows.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So as it wound up turning out, like I've been playing that Sniper Joe deck in locals like a bunch just because it's really fun, and it was kind of like a soft counter to a couple of things. So when Quan got the hammer, we said, okay, I'll just play this Joe deck because I feel really comfortable playing it against just about everything in the field. And that was kind of like our secret assassin deck for the tournament because nobody knew how to pair into that. So
we got kind of lucky in the fact that I don't think anybody knew how to pair against the Vega either.
Yeah.
Like people had saw what Kevin was doing at UK, but the deck's just different. Kevin was playing more like kind of aggressive build with like a lot of weird one-ups, where mine was just like, all right, here's every card that stops the meta, and here's 3 to 4 copies of it. And so every time anybody paired into me, we won that still. Like there weren't good pairings for them unless they were pairing into Ben, and then it was a coin flip anyway.
Sure. Now I know I played the Vega deck at Mark's house, so I had some. I had a game against it, so I had like when we got paired in teams against each other, I knew like, well, I know the deck can beat me because it's beaten me, and I know how hard the Vega matchup is just for Liu Kang by himself, and my plan against you or any Vega in general was try to build for 2 turns and then try to go in, but it just seemed like my deck just force-fed me attacks because that's what it's technically supposed to do, but not against Vega. So, and
I mean, your deck probably has like 24 attacks. You're not going to be seeing a lot of all gray hands.
Oh no, it was pretty rough. Yeah.
I mean, and you certainly got the game where neither of us. I mean, the game where it got dragged out, where you got to see like a lot more cards and stuff. You definitely won.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the thing. If I don't see any of my answer pieces, it generally doesn't matter how many foundations you get or the Liu Kang got, but if I don't see like the good and evils or chasing fight monies or anything, and you have the ability to search for the yin yangs, it's like really, it's still a tough matchup. That's kind of why we're like, hey Ben, play this deck because you can honestly coin flip anything if you see the good cards and they don't.
Correct. Yep. Now, in going into top 8. Who'd you guys play first? Do you guys remember who you guys played first? Going, you played us. You played us. I mean, like at top 4. I mean, top 4. I'm sorry, because we know how that went.
We played the Florida guys.
Okay.
We played Tag, Cody Kent, and the dude playing Johnny Cage, whose name escapes me, but that deck was super awesome.
Was it Paul? I think was that the guy's name? I'm blanking honestly too, but that deck was super cool. So that was a tough matchup. Yeah,
because I know Dave, you were last to finish, right? And that
he was certainly last to finish.
Yeah,
by a substantial margin.
He was last to finish in every top cut round.
That is correct.
To finish top 8. They didn't even let him play that game out.
Yeah,
they were like, all right, top 4 starting.
Yeah, that's right.
Pick up your cards. You don't get to play Tim.
No, we finished our one game against Tim, and after that, I was like, "Nah, dude, we're good. We're not gonna. There's no reason to go on here."
Yeah,
but fortunately, Phil and Ben got their W's, and I didn't have to go into another like 3-hour-long marathon. I just had to do that twice instead of 3 times through top cuts.
Now,
hey man, I had to play against 2 Liu Kangs, and we didn't pair me into Jacob Johnson, or they paired me because I probably played against Jacob Johnson too. Like,
yep. Yeah.
Now when you guys got to when Ben was in the top, Ben played Jacob in finals, right?
Yes.
Did they pair that, or did you guys pair that?
We paired it.
Now was it just because it was a coin flip, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they won the die roll.
Sure.
Yes, and we talked about it a lot the night before through a few drinks and beverages, and also really hot taco burrito things.
Oh, that's because they didn't want to play you. They didn't want to play you guys, right? Because some random.
They didn't want my deck against any of their decks.
Yeah. Okay.
What did they pair
first?
Was
like,
did
they paired the Jet into me.
Oh no, they paired Jet and you.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were like, okay, well, this is probably the auto win anyway because that guy is newer. And my track record against newer players is really good because I have a Galaxy brain and they don't. No offense to Byron. Byron is he's really good, and his deck was pretty cool. It's just that's already a tough matchup that he has less experience in than I do. And then when we got the other pairings, we were just like, well, we could put Dave in another skill matchup and just have idiots fight each other with like fucking foam swords and see who wins. And I was like, honestly, I think that's the best ball for it. Like, it seemed like the best idea because we either win that matchup like on luck or we don't. And we already had the guarantee. I think they paired into a win for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was helpful. So the other end of that too.
Well, I was gonna say, I think when we talked to Barrett, I think that they said that they frequently were just pairing. They were pairing like Jacob into other Liu Kangs, and other Liu Kangs were pairing into him, just because I think it was like a lot of people just figured, well, like it's kind of a coin flip anyway, so we might as well just see how this goes instead of having like two coin flip matchups where it's like our Liu Kang versus something and their Liu Kang versus something else.
That was the only time I ever thought like that was a real option, though, and that's just because Jacob Johnson has such ridiculous little kid luck that I was like, I don't want to just have either of our really good decks just fucking lose to him drawing the nuts. You lose all that little kid luck when you start drinking, by the way. It just all goes downhill from there.
This is his last year of having that.
His little kid luck is fucking done.
So
he's going to get into the alcohol. It's going to go all down here. Look at Mason Johnson. That kid, I'm pretty sure, drinks way more now. Hasn't won a game since Kim's been banned. Hasn't won a single game.
Oh, man. So the other reason we took that pairing in finals was I'd already beaten a Cassie Cage in rounds of teams, and we didn't want to put our Liu Kang into a deck that packs more 4 main deck Shadow Inheritance and like a bunch of other answers to that deck. So we took the coin flip, and I knew that he was playing all, and all's deadlock options are hot trash.
Oh yeah, they certainly didn't have any.
So I knew I could stretch the game out against him, and like on a long enough timeline, if you are sitting at 10 foundations, Sniper Joe kills everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that was the story of our game 1 and game 3. And game 2, he lit me up in 3 turns. He got triple Shadow Inheritance on the table by turn 3, and I died.
Yeah, we're not alive for very long.
No, I got dunked real hard in that game. But so that plan wound up paying out. My finals match with Barrett was 1, it was 3.5 hours long, which was insane.
Yeah.
And 2, it was super close. Like the margin of error in those matchups was like razor thin, and we both played it really well. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about that guy. I was really happy he went on to win the whole thing. Like that is a tough ask to go, like take a 3.5 hour loss in finals, and then like mentally pull yourself together and go on and like run through top 16, top 8, top 4 finals and win the whole thing. Like that's incredible.
Take a 3.5 hour loss and play 4 more games. Jesus.
Yeah. So that all the respect in the world from that dude. So yeah, big props to him for that. But Sniper Joe kills people, man. He was our kind of like dark horse deck. Like people had a vague idea of what Vega did.
Yeah.
Nobody really knew what Sniper Joe was up to, other than like he probably plays missile launcher and stop. And that's correct.
Yeah.
But I was able to kind of like. That deck, when it sets up on defense, is surprisingly difficult to kill if you don't have a way to stop damage reduction. Because you're almost guaranteed 2 full blocks on a attack stream, and the other attack you can kind of handle with a combination of like Gateway Shuffle and your onboard DR, and then you get to Ready Joe, and then he's just really annoying to kill. I don't know. It worked out pretty well.
That character is seriously best kept team secret ever.
Oh yeah.
Like,
he's really good. Yeah.
I will take a Sniper Joe on my team until the end of time. That is amazing in teams. I don't know about his singles application, but you're pretty close.
He's a little sketchier in singles. He's a little sketchier in singles. But in teams, like, there are decks that just can't handle, like, I have 4 main decks stop, and I always pass it.
Yeah.
And you just don't have an out to that. So I'm going to get to, like, light you up on a backswing because you're playing a defensive character like Johnny Cage or whoever. and your defense doesn't work, and you can't push on me without risking that, and so I can stretch a game out. And all of my deadlock options are fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
So, like, that deck plays deadlock better than any character in the game.
So what is it, like Leaf Shield, Missile Launcher, Overly Dramatic? Was there other stuff too? Or?
Oh yeah, there was other stuff too. So there were those three were kind of the highlight reel. I actually only ran 2 Woodman's Leaf Shield in the deck just because I wanted to keep my 5 diffs down.
Mm-hmm.
But I ran a full set of launchers because that card's nuts in him. He's one of the few characters that can run that card and just crank the damage enhance and not feel too bad about it, especially on a poke turn because it's still 5 speed.
Sure.
And off zone, which is really nice. Also, I ran Shirar Yukons, which have a deadlock enhance for more stun, or maybe it's the other one. And I ran Takeda's Kunai, which also has a deadlock enhance. Yeah. And I ran Fatalities in my sideboard, which also has a deadlock enhance. So, like, the amount of threat coming from, like, if you go over 10 foundations, I'm going to be able to open you up. Like, I think only one player put themselves in a deadlock against me through my entire tournament.
Oh, wow.
Both teams and singles, and they immediately died. So, the big advantage to that deck is, like, once you get one with nature down, all of your stuff is +4 speed, and you only have 10 foundations, and I have a ton of stun, and eventually I'm going to be able to just push through whatever I want. So deck's really cool. I really like it. It's a ton of fun to play.
Would you say now? Would you say now that stop is pretty much the premier action block currently? Like,
it took long enough, didn't it?
Took long enough for it to be like the premier action
block. It took the symbols getting good. That was
you guys don't stop bringing up that it's the premier one. I want to be able to play Windmill Punch and not get blocked by, like, prepared events ever. Right? Come on.
Yeah.
Because I played.
Go on with the question.
Because I played Stop this past week at a Premier Store event, and I bodied a Johnny Cage in back-to-back turns because you just stop him. It just stops characters dead, obviously, and
they're real sad.
They're very sad when you stop someone who has, like, a defensive enhance or whatever. And now, what was your plan, Phil? I know you had fades and stuff like that. Was your just playing, like, a solid game and check hacking and just disrupting turns as they went? I know you
just, like, in general?
Yeah, just in general.
Well, I liked that I had the probably the best version of defense and offense, like, that you could muster because desperation's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it was basically turns. Ideal games would be like, all right, build on turn 1. Here's a Coffee Samba and build on turn 2. Okay, I have enough to put myself into desperation. Now you can't kill me because I have Princess Parries, and also all of your cards are impossible to pass. And also, as soon as I draw any attacks, you're going to die. Because all of my attacks are ridiculous. Yeah. All my attacks draw more attacks. It's just like, I don't know, like, I built it initially because I read Princess Parry when I got, like, my box from, like, Gen Con or something. I was like, oh, this is the silliest thing I've ever read in my entire life. This just discards an attack. And then I was like, oh, wait. I like Vega doing that. That sounds really good. And I was like, oh, but I also like Coffee Samba, and I love bad checks because bad checks are fun. And so I threw everything that was bad into one deck, and I was like, oh, this is great. It started at, like, 10 bad checks, and it was, like, Sadistic Ways and stuff. They're still in there. There's just less. So it's 8 bad checks. High risk, high reward, things that hack checks. I don't know. Lots of good defensive pieces, good spam. Like, the quality of evils just got super, super jacked up with MK. It's like, it's probably, like, one of the best symbols, honestly. It probably is the best symbol. Yeah. Like, for, like, all around stuff. If you're not relying on a character, you can do this in, like, any deck. You just, like, let me jam all these good desperation cards into one deck.
You could do it in Shinnok, maybe.
It could be Scorpion, Shinnok, Melina, Katana, Vicious, Vega. It could be, probably more than that. Those are just the good ones I can think of off the top of my head. Katana's already good, so like that's actually not even one of them.
Yeah, Cole Khan can do it too.
Kodo Khan,
fuck
it.
Yeah.
My character, if I was really trying to be bad, but no way. I've learned my lesson. Never again. That wasn't even fun. I've got some new spice though. Like, we're gonna try and windmill punch people, and then we're gonna throw ace maneuvers at the end of the string, and hopefully they die. That
seems like solid.
That seems like,
if I multiple this out, these are all going to clear, and maybe they'll die to this ace maneuvers. And I was like, no way. But I gotta at least believe that maybe I can use my character to actually win ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the dream that keeps me going.
Well, that's a plus, So going forward, like, are you guys going to team again at Worlds? Are you guys going to Worlds?
I mean, I've got a fucking plane ticket. I'm going to every event ever because I love playing UFS. Even though everybody hates this game for some reason, I fucking think it's hilarious. I love playing UFS. It's so easy right now.
It is a much and barring something crazy happening, I'll be at Worlds, and I'm sure we'll team again. Yeah,
for sure.
And Ben will decide to play something 2 weeks before the event, and we'll at least make tops again.
Well, no way, dude. He had Quan Chi unlocked for like a month and a half.
He did.
And they were like, no way.
Yeah,
like, we're gonna.
When I
we're
saw
gonna
him win an event in Atlanta, I was like, wait, he played in an actual store event?
Yeah,
I was
weird.
so surprised. He played in one, Andy won. I was like shocked. I was like, oh my god, he's getting practice. We're invincible. And then they banned Quan Chi. I was like, oh, we're fucking doomed.
Now, did that throw, like, I assume that probably, like, it did to everybody who had Quan Chi on their team, but did you guys just,
that was perfect for me.
Yeah. Oh,
Quan Chi is another one of those matchups where you can just lose, and if you take out one of those matchups where you can just lose, my deck's even better.
Yeah.
Like, I never lost to a Quan Chi in testing still.
Sure.
But it's like, you still always just had the ability to just lose,
Mm-hmm.
and that sucked. I hate playing against decks where I can just lose. It takes all the fun out of all of UFS. I want to be the person where they feel like they just lose. I don't want to have that happen to me. It sounds terrible. But I think once Quan Chi got off the team, I was actually more, I want to say, happy about. Like, I knew that Ben would be a little bit more like, okay, we're going to have to shove something into him last minute. But I was also like, okay, we don't have to play against. There's so much variance in what Quan Chi can do that it was like you could never just be like, this is what their game plan is.
Yeah.
Whereas like Luke, you're like,
you just see
okay,
a Quan Chi, you're just like, I don't know what symbol, I don't know what characters, I don't know what attacks. Like,
Yeah.
Like the one that won that Tampa PTC had like his attack lineup didn't even make sense. It didn't look like it could kill anybody, and he still won a fucking PTC. So it's like
because that character had 150 life in that event.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So he just ground you out. But yeah, I'll echo that for sure. Like Quan being such a big question mark as like what flavor of him are you going to run into?
Mm-hmm.
Like my list was built to tackle that matchup because a lot of the stuff that was good against Liu Kang was also good against Quan. But it was still the same issue where, like, sometimes you just lose because he draws the nuts and you just don't get to play.
Mm-hmm.
And just like Phil said, once that got taken out of the equation, it's like, okay, I feel pretty confident that I can outplay most people playing the deck that I was playing, and I knew Phil could outplay most everybody he was playing with his deck, just because the defensive stuff in both of our lists was so strong. And like we said earlier, we just put Ben on winning coin flips. And sometimes you get a great Liu Kang pairing where it's 100% win rate because they just don't have an out against it. We didn't see a whole lot of those through teams because most people's team comps like prepped for obviously. I mean, there was a Liu Kang in every top 8 or in every team in top 8, right? And I would venture to guess like over 50, like well over probably like 70% of the teams in the field had a Liu Kang in them.
I mean, so far I think I've heard about 3 teams that didn't. I mean,
I know that
we played one.
FSU teams didn't.
I know we played one.
Our first round?
Yeah. But it was definitely most.
That was our only time we didn't play against Liu Kang, I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right. It was round 1. So, because I played against 2 in rounds. I know you played against at least 1. And I think Ben played against at least 1. So, that would make sense. That's 5 rounds. So,
Well, we only played 5 rounds, or we only played 4 of our rounds.
We only played 4 rounds.
And one of our teams didn't have it, so you played against it twice, I played against it once.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then round 5 we ID'd because Garrett Brett hates it, but we don't give a fuck. We just want to play it. We don't want to play as much UFS as we have to.
Keeps you fresh and for those long top cut matches. So.
Dude, I'm glad I didn't have to do 3 marathons in a row. Screw that.
Yeah, dude. Well, you're welcome for that one, I guess, because my team lost you guys quite quickly, so you didn't have to do that. So.
No way, dude. You can't even put that on you. That was Mark Wisniewski's fault.
Shots fired.
Well, he even admitted it was his fault, though. He was like, "Yeah, dude, I just got so distracted that I just didn't use Jet anymore, and I just didn't have characters." I was like, "Oh shit, that actually does sound kind of bad."
Yeah. He said he zoned out in the middle of it. Yeah.
I was like, "There was no our game 3. when I drew up my attack turn, I was like, oh yeah, no, you're fucking dead. I
Oh,
said
yeah.
it like I was like, yeah, you guys lost. I'm sorry. Like my hand was actually nuts.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Yeah. And then, so you want to talk about the match against Barrett, Dave, a bit? Like, you want to kind of just, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
I can go into that a little bit, sure. So I won the die roll, which was huge. Because if he wins the die roll, you have the chance of what happened in our game 2 happen, which is where he just sees Shadow Inheritance like crazy early in bulk, and I just can't survive that, right? But if I'm able to build first and even get like a 4 build on the table, he can't threaten that anywhere near as easily. And again, since he had no good deadlock options, I can play the super, super long game, which is what wound up happening, because like that deck's defense is really good. I'm talking about his deck's defense is really good because of cards like Shadow Inheritance and stuff like that. It kind of offset a lot of my speed boost. He runs anti-stun. In like all of Cassie Cage's support is like reasonably good against my deck until it gets super late, and that's where the match kind of pivots. And once I get like at least one copy of One with Nature down and protected, and I have a hand of like 5 attacks or so, like he's just dead. Which is basically what happened game 1 and game 3. I played defense for way too long. If you watch the replay of round 1, Sean, who was doing the stream coordination for that event, was getting super frustrated because both him and I were perfect blocking everything we threw at each other for like the first 5 turns, which was really funny. So like we didn't see damage until like turn 5 or 6.
I don't think you guys had damage out until Ben and I had both finished.
That's probably right, honestly.
He 2-0'd, I 2-0'd, and then I think you guys started taking damage. And it was like 2 damage.
It was you taking 2. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like, that's just kind of how that matchup went, right? He doesn't run throws, so that's not really a big threat for me. Game 1 was kind of nuts because I never saw stop and I never saw overly dramatic, and those are pretty key in the matchup. And I was still able to take that game 1 on a long enough timeline because like overly dramatic stops Cassie Cage's advance, right? Yeah. It's just a flip cancel and I don't have to worry about it. What saved me was taking some of the combo stuff off of his bigger attacks. I can't remember the name of one. Whatever one that gets like +2 speed for each non-attack.
It's close.
Yeah. So like that, I held my my keyword hate for that card and was like, okay, if he resolves this, I'm at low enough life that he can just like hit me with it, jam, or he can like crank the speed to infinity, jam all of his Shadow Inheritance, pump on it, and I just die. So I have to save those for that. And I just kind of had to hold stuff like, cool, you've got akimbo draw 3s, and I just had to play through it.
Your block string in that first game was insane.
Yeah,
it was like his keyword was like his card pool was like 9 deep, and you're still blocking cards. I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah,
I didn't even know you could do that. Like I was so impressed.
So the key to that was when he went in super deep with stuff like that. Shadow Inheritance, which I was also playing a 4 of for both the Liu Kang mirror, and it synergizes really well with what I'm about to talk about. Is you can jam either foundation blocks, which actually make your later turn blocks easier because of Shadow Inheritance, and you can jam gateway shuffles for DR. So you get like the double whammy of basically negating at least 1 attack's worth of damage with a gateway shuffle, taking like 1 or 2 off of it, getting Joe readied up, so you're planning on blocking whatever's coming behind it. And when it gets super late in a chain and you've got like double gateway foundation block in your card pool, you just tap Shadow Inheritance for like +9 to your block check. And that's how I was able to dig myself out of like the string that Phil was talking about, where he like late turn glow kicked me and I still had a +1 mid in hand and was able to pass it with like 5 or 6 cards in my card pool, and it being like bajillion speed because I had double Shadow Inheritance down, or at least 1 down. So that was one of the strengths of that deck, was like it plays gateway shuffle better than any other deck in the format too, because of that interaction. That's something that only good can do, and really only 7-handers can play that card well. So yeah, that's how game one went. And then I was just able, like, oh, cool, I have a handful of gas, and he's like wide open because he went all in on this attack chain,
Sure.
and then I was just able to kill him.
Okay.
Again, game two, he lit me up. No harm, no foul there. There was no way. I had 0 outs to that, which was fine. And then game three went a lot like game one did, except I ended the game at 1 life, and that was really fun.
You did?
Yeah. I was terrified of him reverse persuading me through that whole attack chain. But yeah, that was harrowing, but a ton of fun. So
Now,
it was good.
this was technically the first deck with Gateway Shuffle to actually win anything, I think, right? It was
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
There you go, kids. Gateway Shuffle has finally won something.
Yeah, all the hype from last set. Like this is the thing. Like I'll talk about that card for a brief second.
Sure.
Like that card got a ton of hype when it got released, and then people kind of realized like very quickly like it really limits your deck building when you're playing it. Like it sucks in most 6-handers except for Fae. It's perfectly fine in Fae because it lets you rig your combo nonsense.
Yep.
But for like most other characters that don't have a way to really abuse it well, it's kind of not great. But this deck happened to run it really well and had an attack lineup that could support it. So sure, it worked out.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is the keyword gating on like the damage pump, like that's a bigger deal than I think we initially sort of gave it credit for when they released it. You know, it's just like +6 damage. It's like that's awesome, and it's like but what kind of attack lineup are you building? And then you like start looking, you're like okay, okay,
yeah.
I only had limited.
I only had 2 attacks. Well, I actually had a bunch of my attacks in my deck that just couldn't wear that card as a damage boost. Like I ran Maniac Shogun, I ran Launcher, and I ran Nutcracker. Just because Nutcracker's nuts.
Yeah.
So really only
So
like
good.
yeah, the card's nuts. So really only like half of my attack base can actually support it with the enhance. But usually you're throwing it late in a chain anyway. You're not jamming it on your first attack because you just don't do that because that just gets blocked and then you're down a card for no reason.
Yep.
But doing it on something like a Shirai Ryukan, once you've opened them up with a missile launcher or something like that, is usually fine if you're like pushing for a kill that turn. Because maybe you make them overinvest in that block and then you just hit them with a follow-up. Very rarely are you actually killing people with the attack that you're playing the shuffle on.
Yeah.
Usually it's the follow-ups.
Sure.
So, but it's on like that card's just better on defense than it is on offense. Like -5 and jam a card in your card pool for Shadow and Arrogance tricks is just nuts.
Sweet.
So yeah.
Yep.
I think the real thing people want to know though, Dave, is do you want to talk about the boss battle?
Oh my god.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
Game because of the boss battle.
went to game
I had to hard mode UFS game 3 against that man. And I almost lost. Like, had he just held his last brutality game 3 and not tried to check it on the 6 and just hit me with it next turn, I would have died. And I had 0 outs to that. And I would have never lived that down, so I'm really glad he didn't do it.
Who did Phil
game 1,
play?
I forgot what brutality did. And I was like, oh, you can't reduce the damage on that attack. I'm bad. And then he hit me for 9, put me to 3, and then killed me with his other brutality. I'm like, well, okay, we'll go to game 2. Game 2, I destroyed him. And game 3, I had to like gritty UFS for like a fucking hour against that deck. And I missed the soccer game I was going to go to because of it. Like, no, I'm not leaving with a W. I'm not leaving with a draw. I'm beating this stupid Eligor deck. That was. I
had a great time at the soccer game. You didn't get to it.
I know. You guys came back fucking hammered. So.
Yeah, dude, that's how it goes.
Who did Phil play in the boss battle?
Oh, I got my ass beat by Shane, but I accepted that I was allowed to take an L after not losing a single game all weekend.
That works. Yeah, that's
I was like, I'm taking the L this time. It's fine. These guys got to carry me.
Now, I played an Eligor deck at the Premier Store event, and it was similar to what Luke was running, and I was just like, I just can't get brutality.
Now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You did that on purpose.
What?
Played an Eligor deck.
Oh, I did not play the Eligor deck. I played Call Khan.
I
played against one, and it was Luke's list.
I was like, Chris, you're really bad.
No, it was Luke's list, and I'm just like,
I know you've won every single Premier Store event in Illinois, but you don't have to do that, man.
Actually, I haven't. I've lost the last few, unfortunately, but that's because Quan Chi was busted. So whatever. But
True.
But yeah, I did not want to get brutality for. I did not. I was just like, no. I was like full blocking stuff, so he couldn't get me down to 3. Yeah. So. Yep.
Yeah. No, I played against
good.
What?
It's
Is that card actually good?
Brutality?
Brutality?
Right.
That's not bad.
I mean, it depends.
Like,
it's not
spiciest
great.
one of? Is that a unique attack?
Maybe like 2, because the Breaker 3 isn't irrelevant.
Right.
I mean, I think didn't Slam beat Keenan with it in top 16 too?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he also only played 1 though in his deck.
He might have.
I think
he
sided
definitely
1.
blocked me with it for Breaker 5, and I was just like,
that card's
try
sweet.
this
Yeah,
1
Breaker
diff
5 is sweet.
foundation. I tried like a 1 diff foundation on a 7, and I checked a 3. I was like, well, I guess it turns over. Dude, playing against Slam, like, because he was playing Jet, I was playing Sasquatch, and like game 1 he opens double Sense of Morals, and I was like, all right, I'll lose this, and then like game 2, like every time I play something with like Stun or Breaker, he's just like, I'll just make it 0, and then like he'll play like the same card, and it'll be like, Breaker like 4 or 5, and like Stun 1,000,000, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I think everything that I want to do, he just does better. I was like, I've made it.
He was like the only Jet there, though, wasn't he?
There might have been one other one. Oh, well, Scott was playing Jet too. Yeah.
Was he?
In singles?
In singles,
there were 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
There were
Scott was at like the bottom table. Scott's deck sucked.
Yeah.
Oh man. But teams. I ran into a lot of Sense of Morals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that card's really good. So you have to play if you're playing a deck that stuns and that's part of your like, this is how I push damage, you have to play around that card very carefully.
Yeah.
Because I had a couple people that stunned into me because I ran 2 in the main and 1 extra on the board, and it should have been 3 in the main, but whatever. And like it's like, oh cool, you just gave me access to my broken uniques for every single attack you're playing for the rest of the turn. Thanks. And I won a couple games on the back of that.
I think it's okay to stun into it as long as your stun is greater than the number of copies of Sense of Morals they have.
Yeah, it's
as long as you're net gaining on it.
Yeah, or you make them overcommit to a block before you start stunning if you can stun them later. That's how my wins against Barrett went. Because he'd have at least 1 or 2 copies of it out, and like if you guys look at my last game and the stream's up somewhere, like I played triple missile launcher that turn.
You did draw one of those off of the Nutcracker. That was
I
awesome.
Sure as hell did. I could have set up a draw for one anyway off of the Nutcracker and just guaranteed it, or off of the Shirar Yukon and just guaranteed it. But I was like, oh, cool. This is 1 less 2 I can check.
Yeah.
But like if you watch that game, I don't stun him until like the very last possible minute.
Oh, okay.
So that way it just limits his access to his defensive tools. Because like I don't want to deal with like flip my speed and damage, whatever the hell that fake card is, every single attack. Like that just makes my math harder.
Curious Magnetism.
Yeah. So
or even just like you want him to ready Shadow Inheritance on every single like block. No.
Right. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. So like you force him to commit into it naturally, and then it's like, oh cool, you only have 2 foundations left, or you only have 1 foundation left. I can comfortably stun into this and be fine. So little sidebar, if you're running a deck that's primary win condition is stun like Jet, have a backup plan. Yeah. Because you need a backup plan now.
I know Tim's Codal deck, it plays a lot of seal, like Deep Freeze, Loyal Friend. So I played against a Johnny Cage that had Sense of Morals, and I sealed that stuff out, and just I can stun you safely. Yeah.
And again, that's your backup plan too, right? It's like, cool, if I can't get you with the stun and like making something a grab, like I'm just gonna sit your defensive tools and you're gonna have to block me like a normal human being.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad Loyal Friend is seeing some play.
Yeah.
That card's good.
That card is rising on my bar of cards
for the new age.
Yeah, that card's pretty nuts. It's especially with like the order package that Tim has, because you can just blow it up for Cyberlink Way, and you can just with Codal you make it a throw and all that shit, and you just pump a bunch of damage on it, and who cares what the speed is? So, that deck's a lot of fun.
Seems fine.
That deck's a lot of fun. So, you guys are experienced team players. What advice for newer players would you give on compiling, making a team? So we had a rise in attendance this year. We were bigger than last year, obviously. So what would you say to new players about forming a team up?
Like,
just in general,
like forming a team. Or
yeah,
what
do you want? Do you want? Should they have decks that complement each other? Should Should they? You don't want them all running like the same type of deck, I guess. Maybe.
I mean, I feel like you just either if the meta is so if the meta isn't character dependent and like your best bet is say there was no Jet He or Liu Kang or like Cassie or whatever, and the meta was just like evil cards, then you want two of your decks to just be like evil decks, basically, like because you can fit in 8 copies of a card in teams, and if evil is your best option, then you just jam 2 of those decks. Now, if the meta is like a bunch of really good, strong characters like it was this year, you want to have at least 2 of those, and then probably something that beats it. Where we had like the Liu Kang in Vega is very strong because he runs a desperation package, and then we had Sniper Joe, who is a little harder for people to like think like it beats the meta, but people also don't know how to beat it.
Yes.
Whereas people can at least formulate a game plan against like Vega. They can be like, oh, okay, I know kind of what this does. I've seen this before. This isn't like super new stuff. Whereas like Sniper Joe, they're like, oh, I've never had to experience something where I just can't block attacks.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to just not block and him be able to block everything. So it's kind of like you want to be able to. I don't want to say like reinvent the wheel, but you can find cool answers to the meta on things that are like less popular, I guess. And if you don't think you have the ability to do that, then if you just jam the 3 best decks, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you jam the 3 best decks and you hope for the best. Like I don't think anybody was like, man, I expect no offense to the players from Florida, but I don't think anybody was like, those guys are definitely going to get top 4 locked. Like. For teams, but they played super strong meta decks, and then they had the Johnny Cage, which people weren't like. I mean, people didn't. I didn't know how to deal with that. I would have been like, "Holy shit, this is boring." I'm glad Dave is playing against this.
That's my specialty, yo. I'll play some boring ass EOFS, but yeah. No, we kind of touched on this when we did our Nats preview show with you guys, where like that's kind of what we did this year, right? We took 2 really strong decks that we know pair like very well against the entire field, and that was Liu Kang and that was Vega, and that would have been Quan and it would have been Vega. And then we have a curveball deck, which was our Joe, right? And that's usually done pretty well historically for teams with us. Like some years it's been, I don't even remember some of the comps we've run. Like I ran Joe last year for teams at Worlds.
Yeah,
so I guess this year
technically.
Yeah, so same deal, like 2 really strong decks that we knew were good and we knew were like stable against the field and had at least like a 50% matchup, if not better, against basically everything. And then like, here's this curveball deck in Joe, and like it worked out about the same. We made top 4, and had it not been for like a misplay or 2 on my end in final or in our top 4, we probably would have made finals.
We would have smashed this year in teams competition.
Yeah. If any of you saw me throw my backpack at Worlds, I was not happy about that. But yeah, that's honestly, that's a really good way. That's how we approach teams. That's kind of how, like, even when it was me, Drew, and Ben doing it, we kind of approached it the same way.
That's Ben always played something wild, right? Like if he's playing himself and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's served us pretty well. It's like make one of their pairings a big question mark, so they can make a mistake in pairings, and then just have 2 really strong questions that your opponent has to answer.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got our W. So
whose idea was it to put Xian Kyaku in Liu Kang? Was that Ben's? Or
dude, that was mine,
all
bro.
Yeah,
that card's fucking sweet.
It is. It's very sweet. That card's awesome.
The card is terrible.
Your fucking
picks up fatality.
Picks up fatality, and fatality picks you up more cards.
Yeah.
It is true.
If I had a low block or a Templar,
but you didn't.
But you didn't. No one expects
the first one, and I was
wait, did you die to it? Did you die to that? Oh my god, you're so bad.
Take that.
No, he played the first one, and I was like, oh crap. I was like, I forgot he had these, and then I was like, all right, well, does he have another one? And he sure did. And those were, sir, the only 2 attacks that he had in his hand. And I was at 4. And all I had was
Really?
blocks. And I
No
was
one
like,
expects Liu Kang to go low. It's like he's all mids and highs in almost every other ability you see him. So
Yeah.
he had about 7 cards left in his deck. It was pretty good.
yeah, that means he has guaranteed double shape Yaku.
Gonna shake my head at you, Rob. Jeez.
Boom.
Got him. So,
All right. Well, we're about an hour in, so any final thoughts overall on the tournament itself, how it was run, anything you look forward to in the future with the new set coming out, anything like that?
I am pretty excited for like the continued. I want to call it power creep because I think we've hit that leveled out balance where everything's kind of nutty.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. I'm enjoying that a lot, except for when there's like super outliers. I'm not really liking this, like what super outliers are showing up, but when everything else is kind of in the middle, it's like, this is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm kind of digging that.
Sure.
Like, nobody's even bitching about Spike 1 anymore, and it's just like, it's like, I mean, he's probably fine. 724, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Live your best life, man. You can't really kill people, so.
I don't think that there's anything that we've seen so far in Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers that's like Quan Chi type. Well, I don't think there's anything that you just like look at the character and you go, oh my god, like what were they thinking?
Well,
like there's some
like,
good
oh my
stuff,
god, Violent 10, but that dude's gonna be out of a deck in 2 turns.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Like, sure, his 2 turns are gonna be real explosive, but if you don't kill them, you are losing that game.
100%.
Especially if you run into like people cheeseballing you with Anacaris still, I guess. You're really
one more set.
One more set, man. I know that. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, sure. So I'll kind of echo what Phil said. I like when UFS is like a little bit crazy, and I'll completely agree with like, okay, some of the outliers are a little much. Like Quan Chi was obviously like way too good, and
fuck Jackie Breaks.
That character is also insane.
Yeah, that character's nuts. Yes.
Yeah, but there's a lot of nuts right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh man, I don't picture like, say Liu Kang gets hit with the Nerf bat a little bit, right? And we see him get reprinted and toned down, which we probably will, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think it immediately becomes like Jackie Briggs just runs over the meta. Like,
dude, I don't know, man.
She's really good. Guys. She's really good. Like, I can't dispute that at all. But I don't know. But yeah, I also don't think there's anything yet that we've seen in Street Fighter that has been like, oh man, this is going to be really broken and like take the meta over.
Yeah.
Because like when we saw MK spoiled, I know a couple of us like we took one look at Quan Chi and said, nope, like this dude is insane. Like it's like, okay, you just jam Napalm Man and whatever else you want in there, and you can literally do anything you want.
Yeah.
And you have the best defensive R that's ever been printed in Jasco UFS. Like, like this guy is probably too good, and we were right. And we didn't really see Liu Kang take off and be a little crazy until we saw support, right?
Correct.
So could we see that with some of these Street Fighter characters? Maybe, but there's nothing fundamentally on any of these characters that I've seen yet that has been like, oh man, what are we going to do against this? It's just like, no, all of them seem pretty damn solid and all of them seem competitive. We'll just have to see the rest of their kits, and that's going to kind of determine where they wind up. So yeah, I like where they're going with their design at this point. Like I said, I like it being a little bit more higher powered and a little bit crazier.
It's way better than the fucking Street Fighter boringness where you're like, all right, here are my generic cards with really lame abilities that kind of don't do anything.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to play them.
Yeah. when you look at the Street Fighter set and you saw one character out of that set make an impact in the meta, that's not really a good look. No, so, and that was even before Bebop and all that.
Very true.
Yeah, so I like where they're going. I think
Dulcine was Swiss champ at like nationals.
Sure, that's fine, but how far did he make it into top cuts past that? And anyway,
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, I don't remember. But like, I think they did a good job running nationals. The tournament was relatively smooth. There was that like one like round 3 hiccup or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Manually do some stuff.
Yeah, I think
they got that resolved pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they like the side events that they ran on Sunday, people seem to really enjoy. If any of you have a chance whenever, I can't remember the guy's name that brought it. This dude brought his legacy cube.
Oh, sure.
And that was awesome. That was so. I went straight from my team's win into like, hey, do we want another sign up for legacy cube? I'm like, yup, let me get in on this. And I drafted the most insane deck I've ever seen. But yeah, that like, and you had the Common Ground tournament and had all that going. You had King of the Hill going.
There's like a turbo thing too, right?
Yeah,
there's a little turbo
I think
qualifier.
Rodney won it, or he
think
scooped,
so.
or he scooped to his girlfriend. I don't remember, one of the two. Yeah, one of them won it. Yeah,
exactly. But his gore was smashing people apparently, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So so like they had enough to keep you entertained on Sunday, where a lot of times historically it's just been like people milling around and not really doing anything, and just kind of like waiting for top cuts to finish. So that was really good. The event ran smooth. Like, had it not been for my marathon matches, we could have finished teams on Friday.
Oh, sure.
Like,
yeah.
That would have been feasible had I had not had a 3-hour game. So.
No, wait, those dudes were being babies. They were never going to play us on Friday.
Also true. They didn't want to play us on Friday.
We were already drinking. They knew it. They were afraid. But little did they know that drinking only makes me slightly better.
I mean, Dave, would you have liked to have like a 4-hour match or whatever on Friday night?
Like, if I would have been playing Barrett until like 3 a.m.
That would have been hilarious.
That would have been intense. So yeah, who knows?
3 in the morning in the hotel lobby as they kicked us all fucking out of the room.
Yeah.
Mid game.
Yeah. With the staging areas that we would have had going at that point, that would have been a mess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So fortunately, that didn't have to happen, and was able to actually sleep, which was nice. So. But yeah, it was overall it was a really good tournament. I think they did the previews in a really smart way.
Yeah, it was cool.
Giving people an incentive to stick around for all 7 rounds was really nice too.
Yeah.
So you don't get like completely screwed on tiebreakers because one of your like somebody who had like a bad cut through Swiss just drops after like round 4 and it tanks somebody's record in the top cuts. And
they just have a bad run and like scooped everybody and it's the same effect.
Yeah, but they're still in the tournament.
Yeah.
So like it's a little bit different that way, right? So I don't know. The IDs and scooping, that's always been a thing since diversity's been a thing, and that's been a thing since like 2009.
Sure.
Right. So it's not like unless they make a drastic change to it, like you can yell at it all you want, but it's still going to happen.
I mean, I guess I would like to see people play it out a little bit more, but if you ever have any situation where there's like 16 of one character, there's never going to be anybody playing it out.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. So yeah, once Corey like got locked in round 6, basically, like
Cody,
sorry, Jesus. Then you weren't going to see any of the. Yeah,
you're gonna hear that on the Discord, Dave Wagner. Oh man, it's Cody.
It's fine. People yell at me on Discord all the time anyway. I don't really care.
Do they?
I don't pay attention to when people yell at me. So
exactly. Like the only way that gets changed is the diversity rule changes because you can't force people to honestly play games out.
Yeah.
It's just
not a thing.
It's just not a thing. Like you can't do that.
Sure.
Right. So yeah, we'll see if they make some changes going forward. Honestly, I think. Once we get more equivalently power level sets in the format running around by like Worlds next year, this will probably be way less of a problem.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get 2 more sets where, you just need to not have people showing up with like 10 of a character.
Yeah.
Like 10 of a character in a 100-player field is fine. It's when you have that instance jumping like through 4 different characters, which is like this year.
It was like Vicious, Cassie, Jackie, and what's his dick, Liu Kang.
Yeah. So if we don't wind up seeing, and one of the reasons for that is because Liu Kang was so good, and Jackie was like a great counter to that deck. You saw a bunch of people trying to high roll people all day, and then you saw a bunch of people trying to counter the high rolling, and that's kind of how that came about. And then there's a funny effect that. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but it's what I call the Facebook effect for diversity, where if you have a relatively high-name player announcing on social media that they're playing a particular character, you will suddenly see a drop in that character's attendance because people don't want to run into that that fight.
Right.
So I think you saw that with Scorpion this year. When you saw like Tamarin and like Keenan was talking about playing that character for a while.
Yeah.
Then you saw people that may have started their deck as Scorpion and said, well, I don't want to run into that buzzsaw. Fuck that. I'm just going to play Vicious. And then you had 9 players playing Vicious. So
somebody told me to play Vicious like the day of the. They're like, you should just play Vicious. I'm like, I'm not going to. Like, people are going to be playing Vicious. And then there were a million people on Vicious.
Yeah.
Like,
I almost had my brother playing Snake Man. And I was like, but why would you do that? You could just play Vicious instead. And he was like, that's fine. I guess I'll do that.
So that's a weird thing that like happens in UFS that doesn't really happen in any other card game currently on the market. Where since the community is so vocal about what they're doing all the time, like Tam dressed up as Scorpion. Do you really want to play into that guy? You know he's prepared for it. Like, so yeah, like I know like when I would go to events and I was playing my character, I had a number of people come up to me and said, well, I would have been playing Dave Wagner, but you're here. So I said, screw that crap. I don't want to run in that buzzsaw and I'm going to play somebody else. So that's a weird effect that UFS has too. So again,
the weird opposit effect. I remember my friends were like, I want to play this. I'm like, okay, I just won't do that. Then that's fine. You can play it instead. That was literally Worlds with Spike One because you were like, I'm going to play Spike One. I was like, all right, yeah, cool, dude. You can play Spike One. That's fine. Yep. And then Will wanted to play Vega. And I was like, all right, yeah, dude, that's cool. You can play Vega.
I had that happen a number of years with Shoemaker that him and I would both like zero in on the same character. Like the year he played Huitzel to his win, I was like, man, I really want to play Huitzel. He's like, yeah, well, I've been working on it too. I was like, all right, dude, you go ahead and you play that. That's fine. And he wound up winning with it. And that's happened a couple of times with like a number of members of our play group. So I think opening up the diversity cutoff to 2 per character, again, especially now that we're doing top 16, because like the one-off cutoff is a relic of when we were doing top 8 cuts. That makes that way easier to swallow, right? And you will have way more people play out late rounds if they think they have a chance of getting in.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see what they do with it.
All right.
So
awesome.
I mean, I think they have some other stuff they're working on, but I feel like maybe they had enough people sort of like asking that they'll at least like think about it, which would be nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all.
They don't have to do anything. So. Like it's like they don't have to do anything, but as long as they're like considerate and just be like, maybe not right now. It's like okay.
Hey,
as long as you thought about it.
Jason watches our show, so anything you say, he hears, so he may take that into account.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't bash the company, not even once. I'm contractually obligated not to do that. I'm no longer banned from the Facebook page.
That's good. That's
Congratulations, Phil.
That's a
I just got my payout today, too, guys.
Oh, nice. Congrats, dude.
So how does that work for your cards, right? Because do you just have to give like your cut?
I have to give them half of whatever I get. Okay. And since we split it 3 ways, I mean...
Yeah.
I guess they're going to get like...
100?
100 or like 70 maybe? I don't know.
I don't know how much you guys get.
However they pay out.
So
we also have no idea what our card's going to do yet. So
I just know there's going to be a damn backpack on that shit.
Yeah.
There will probably be the backpack featured somewhere on the card. Yeah.
No.
I have no problem with that.
Are they aiming for next summer for you guys or the next champ batch after that? Do they know?
The next champ batch is like 2 years, so...
I hope it's not that
it's next year.
That's what they're doing now. They're doing, for the champ batches, they're going to be doing it like 1 batch at a time.
Yeah.
So next batch,
it's next summer.
Then.
Yeah, it's
right.
next
So
summer.
no, I'm saying there's one like this July, but then after that, I think it's going to be like 2 Julys.
Yeah.
Really?
It's like every other, yeah.
I haven't reached out to anybody to get details on how they want us to go forward with this yet, because I know like from the last time that probably since both you and I won champ cards, Phil, like the process has changed a little bit.
It keeps changing.
So yeah, we'll have to get in touch with them and see what they want us to do.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, we have no idea what the hell our cards are yet.
Like Barrett already has like a whole. Like he was telling us off camera, like he already has it pretty much all fleshed out, and he's sending them ideas already. And
you tell him how you ask him how well that worked out for him. I tried to do that, and they were like, "No, dude, you can't have any of these good effects."
Yeah,
you could be power of the edge, though. I guess. All right.
Yeah, that works. All right. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll end the episode. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Phil, Dave, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, guys.
We're going to have our 1 year show coming up, so we may be seeing if you guys want to pop in, say a few things about the year. We have our 1 year show coming up soon. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I now have a Patreon account for us, so
ooh, sexy.
Come
on. Is that where you paste all your lewds? So I want to subscribe to lewds.
Yeah, if you want the lewds, I'll give you the lewds.
Yes.
That's at Rockford CCG on Patreon and SoundCloud. This episode will be up, but if you are a Patreon subscriber, you get all the Guile treatment stuff early instead of on release day. You get it all a week or two early. So it's the first time I ever said that on an episode. So go me. I didn't screw it up. So
good job, dude.
Thanks, man. So again, thanks a lot, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode of Guile treatment, and we'll see you guys all later.
Dude, only Scott Sundman doesn't like me, and that guy smells, so who cares?